Me the other MJ because I was never as good as him, but I still got the opportunity to play with other legends like Kobe and LeBron. I'm married to Tanisha, my high school sweetheart, and we have two amazing kids, Russell and Candace. We're that kind of family, loving sports, eating healthy, and spending time together. But out of nowhere, my diabetes nightmare hit hard. During the summer of 2024, right after our family reunion, I started having an unquenchable thirst and constant trips to the bathroom. It was more than ever before I got real worried. I even thought it might be a prostate issue, so I went to see a urologist. After several tests, the doctor gave me a clean bill of health about my prostate. But that got me wondering what was really going on. I wouldn't have to wait long to find out. 3 weeks later, after celebrating my wife's birthday with a glass of Hennessy and some cupcakes, I wound up in the ER with a blood sugar level of 475. The next thing I remember, the doc's looking at me, saying I had diabetes and was on the verge of slipping into a coma.
If you're a man over 30 who makes at least 150 grand a year and you're still embarrassed to take your shirt off at the pool, your number one priority should be to get shredded while you still can, because the longer you wait, the harder and more unlikely it becomes that you get the body you've always wanted, and I can guarantee that you'll regret not doing so. I will get you chiseled like a Greek god in record time for the summer.
Jasher chapter 27. And Esau at that time, after the death of Abraham, frequently went in the field to hunt. And Nimrod, king of Babel, the same as Amraphel, also frequently went with his mighty men to hunt in the field, and to walk about with his men in the cool of the day. And Nimrod was observing Esau all the days, for a jealousy was formed in the heart of Nimrod against Esau all the days. And on a certain day Esau went in the field to hunt, and he found Nimrod walking in the wilderness with his 2 men. And all his mighty men and his people were with him in the wilderness, but they removed at a distance from him, and they went from him in different directions to hunt. And Esau concealed himself for Nimrod, and he lurked for him in the wilderness. And Nimrod and his men that were with him did not know him. And Nimrod and his men frequently walked about in the field at the cool of the day, and to know where his men were hunting in the field. And Nimrod and 2 of his men that were with him came to the place where they were. And Esau suddenly started from his lurking place, and drew his sword, and hastened and ran to Nimrod, and cut off his head. And Esau fought a desperate fight with the 2 men that were with Nimrod. And when they called out to him, Esau turned to them and smote them to death with his sword. And all the mighty men of Nimrod, who had left him to go to the wilderness, heard the cry at a distance, and they knew the voices of those 2 men, and they ran to know the cause of it, when they found their king and the 2 men that were with him lying dead in the wilderness. And when Esau saw the mighty men of Nimrod coming at a distance, he fled, and thereby escaped. And Esau took the valuable garments of Nimrod, which Nimrod's father had bequeathed to Nimrod, and with which Nimrod prevailed over the whole land, and he ran and concealed them in his house. And Esau took those garments, and ran into the city on account of Nimrod's men. And he came to his father's house, wearied and exhausted from fight, and he was ready to die through grief, when he approached his brother Jacob, and sat before him. And he said unto his brother Jacob, Behold, I shall die this day, and wherefore then do I want the birthright? And Jacob acted wisely with Esau in this matter. And Esau sold his birthright to Jacob, for it was so brought about by the Lord. And Esau's portion in the cave of the field of Machpelah, which Abraham had bought from the children of Heth for a possession of a burial ground, Esau also sold to Jacob. And Jacob bought all this from his brother Esau for value given. And Jacob wrote the whole of this in a book, and he testified the same with witnesses, and he sealed it. And the book remained in the hands of Jacob. And when Nimrod, the son of Cush, died, his men lifted him up and brought him in consternation, and buried him in his city. And all the days that Nimrod lived were 215 years. And he died. And the days that Nimrod reigned upon the people of the land were 185 years. And Nimrod died by the sword of Esau in shame and contempt. And the seed of Abraham caused his death, as he had seen in his dream. And at the death of Nimrod, his kingdom became divided into many divisions, and all those parts that Nimrod reigned over were restored to the respective kings of the land, who recovered them after the death of Nimrod. And all the people of the house of Nimrod were for a long time enslaved to all the other kings of the land. Jasher chapter 28. And in those days after the death of Abraham, in that year the Lord brought a heavy famine in the land. And whilst the famine was raging in the land of Canaan, Isaac rose up to go down to Egypt on account of the famine, as his father Abraham had done. And the Lord appeared that night to Isaac, and he said to him, "Do not go down to Egypt, but rise and go to Gerar, to Abimelech, king of the Philistines, and remain there till the famine shall cease." And Isaac rose up and went to Gerar as the Lord commanded him, and he remained there a full year. And when Isaac came to Gerar, the people of the land saw that Rebekah his wife was of a beautiful appearance. And the people of Gerar asked Isaac concerning his wife, and he said, "She is my sister," for he was afraid to say she was his wife, lest the people of the land should slay him on account of her. And the princes of Abimelech went and praised the woman to the king, but he answered them not, neither did he attend to their words. But he heard them say that Isaac declared her to be his sister. So the king reserved this within himself. And when Isaac had remained 3 months in the land, Abimelech looked out at the window, and he saw, and behold, Isaac was sporting with Rebekah his wife. For Isaac dwelt in the outer house belonging to the king, so that the house of Isaac was opposite the house of the king. And the king said unto Isaac, "What is this thou hast done to us, in saying of thy wife, She is my sister? How easily might one of the great men of the people have lain with her, and thou wouldst then have brought guilt upon us." And Isaac said unto Abimelech, "Because I was afraid lest I die on account of my wife, therefore I said, She is my sister." At that time Abimelech gave orders to all his princes and great men, and they took Isaac and Rebekah his wife, and brought them before the king. And the king commanded that they should dress them in princely garments, and make them ride through the streets of the city, and proclaim before them throughout the land, saying, "This is the man, and this is his wife. Whoever toucheth this man or his wife shall surely die." And Isaac returned with his wife to the king's house, and the Lord was with Isaac, and he continued to wax great, and lacked nothing. And the Lord caused Isaac to find favor in the sight of Abimelech, and in the sight of all his subjects. And Abimelech acted well with Isaac, for Abimelech remembered the oath and the covenant that existed between his father and Abraham. And Abimelech said unto Isaac, "Behold, the whole earth is before thee. Dwell wherever it may seem good in thy sight, until thou shalt return to thy land." And Abimelech gave Isaac fields and vineyards, and the best part of the land of Gerar.
We're Phoenix Energy, a family-owned oil company focused on unleashing American oil from North Dakota and Montana. We've already sold over 2.9 million barrels, creating steady jobs
Of Gerar, to sow and reap and eat the fruits of the ground, until the days of the famine should have passed by. And Isaac sowed in that land, and received 100-fold in the same year. And the Lord blessed him. And the man waxed great, and he had possession of flocks, and possession of herds, and great store of servants. And when the days of the famine had passed away, the Lord appeared to Isaac, and said unto him, "Rise up, go forth from this place, and return to thy land, to the land of Canaan." And Isaac rose up, and returned to Hebron, which is in the land of Canaan, he and all belonging to him, as the Lord commanded him. And after this, Shelach, the son of Arpachshad, died in that year, which is the 18th year of the life